So if you watched part one, you probably saw yourself in one of those signs. And if you're anything like me, you watched it, you nodded along, and maybe you sent it to a friend. But then guess what? You probably went right back to doing the things that you were already doing. Because knowing you're a people pleaser and actually stopping are two completely different things. And trust me, like I've known this because I have been this, I have struggled with this for so long. This has literally shaped every big decision that I've made in my life. People pleasing has had its hand in it, right? Like the jobs that I took because others thought they were great opportunities, the friendships and relationships that I had just stayed in way too long. Y'all, like that version of myself that had played it safe and had just been so performative in so many spaces. This was me for the last 10 years of my life. And the reason I'm making this video is because at some point it's all going to come to a head. And that's what happened to me, right? Like my health, my career, my relationships, I mean, even my faith, the church that I was a part of, like it all shifted at the exact same time. And it wasn't until that shift that I realized I had spent so many years trying to manage everyone else's experiences of me. I genuinely did not know who I was. I genuinely did not know what I liked. I had no idea who I was when no one was watching. And that's what people pleasing does to you over time. It doesn't just make you say yes when you want to say no. It doesn't just show up at the most inopportune times. It literally causes you to lose your plot entirely. It causes you to lose bits and pieces of yourself. So today, as I promised, we're going to talk about how to actually stop. Not the whole like set boundaries and love yourself, like none of that. We are going to talk about practical ways that you can start today. Real steps. And y'all, this is coming from someone who is mid-process, okay? I have not figured it all out. I do not know everything. But I know that these steps have helped me in stopping people pleasing. So let's get into it. One quick thing before the steps, I think this really matters. In order to stop people pleasing, it's not about becoming someone who just doesn't care about things. I think that is such a misnomer. It is such a myth. It's not about becoming cold or difficult or even just about becoming someone who says no to everything. Like that's not it. I just want you to know that taking the steps to not be a people pleaser is the exact same steps that you take to just care for yourself. It's about learning how to care for yourself at the same rate and with the same amount of effort that you care for other people. And fair warning, like it's not easy, it's not comfortable, but it is so worth it. It's going to feel really selfish at times to do this. That feeling is not a sign to stop. It's just a sign that you've never done this before. It's just you growing and experiencing something new, especially if you've been wired this way for a really long time. Okay, 3 steps. Step 1, it's going to sound so simple and you're going to want to skip it, but I promise you, do not skip this step. It's literally just to pause. That's it. Pause before you answer anything. Because here's what actually happens when you're a people pleaser. Someone asks you for something or asks you to do something, and like I shared in the last video, you immediately say yes. Your brain hasn't even caught up to the whole conversation, and you're already accepting whatever it is they want you to do, whatever it is they want you to be. You've already said yes. I just want you to start catching yourself in the moment before you say yes. I want you to give yourself a moment to actually decide, make a choice. As a people pleaser, it's easy to say yes. That's just the default. That's just the reflex. Like any reflex, like any habit, you can't just stop it by deciding to stop it. You actually have to interrupt that habit, that pattern, that reflex. So the practice is this. When someone asks you something, before you say anything, I just want you to pause. Give yourself like 3 seconds to breathe. Take a deep breath. Sometimes that's not long enough. Sometimes you need more, but at least 3 seconds, and then give an answer. And if the answer is no, let the answer be no. And if you're not ready to say that, pause and then just say, let me get back to you on that. That is a full sentence as well. And I'll be honest with y'all, like this is still one that I'm working on. There have been so many times in my life where I have just immediately said yes to everything, whether that was a commitment, a project at work, someone needing something of me, even though I didn't have the capacity at that time to give it. Like I can think of an example after an example after an example of how many times I've said yes in my life when I know deep down I wanted to say no, but I didn't give myself the time to say no. And what feels so heavy about that is for most of us who deal with that, it ends up not being a choice anymore. Like I said, it's a reflex, but it also ends up weighing on you and you can build resentment over time because you're just like, ugh, I'm always giving of myself and giving of myself, but then you never feel it reciprocated. A lot of the times it's because we should have said no. And one other thing I'll say about the pause that's really important is sometimes you need that pause just to hear yourself more clearly, just to give yourself a moment to say, do I have the capacity for this? Is this what I actually want to do? Does this work for me? Like those 3 simple basic questions, we do not allow ourselves sometimes enough space to ask those questions. So practice the pause. Even if it feels awkward, I promise you it will feel awkward, but that is just growth. You have to just go through this step. Step number 2, and this is where it gets a little deep, I will be honest, but it's so worth it. When it comes to people pleasing, it's not always just about saying no, but it's also about saying yes to the right things. And oftentimes we don't know what our yes is anymore. Like I mentioned, I've gotten to a place in my life where I didn't know what I liked, what I enjoyed. Did I really like this because of me, or did I just like this because other people liked it, right? And when you say yes to something for so long, again, it doesn't become a choice anymore. And eventually you lose sight on if you actually want these things or not. I really felt this one the most in the last year. Because I spent so many years just like looking at myself from the outside end, making sure like I had the right job, I had the right relationships, I had the right community, like all right in quotation marks, by the way, based on what I assumed other people wanted me to have. And that all started to shift. Like my job changed completely, my health changed, my relationships, my community, like even my church, it all changed. And when so many external factors and things that were a part of your life are no longer a part of your life, it leaves you feeling very raw and vulnerable. And it's in those moments that you actually start to realize, oh wow, I actually didn't like that. I didn't enjoy that. That wasn't actually my choice. I did all of these things. I said all of these things. I became all of these things to appease other people. And then I had this moment of just like, who the heck am I performing for? Literally, at the end of the day, who and why am I doing all of this? If you are nowhere in that answer, you need to pause and reflect. Because when you start actually asking yourself, what do I actually like? What do I actually believe? What does my life actually look like when I stop worrying about the opinions of other people? Y'all, I didn't have good answers for that. And that was so uncomfortable. It was so concerning for me because I realized years I had been doing this and I had nothing really to show for it that was true and genuine to me. And so that becomes the hard work you have to do. But here's the practical part of the step. Let me get back to the step. The practical part of pausing long enough and then actually evaluating if you really want something or not, it takes intention. And so part of this step, I want you to write down 3 to 5 things that you would say are a genuine yes for you right now. And that can be something grand, it can be something small, but just what do you actually want to say yes to? This can be things you want to prioritize, right? It could be your health, it could be your relationships, it could be your job, it could be creative outputs, like whatever it is that you're like, hey, I really want to protect this in my life right now, write those down because then I want you to audit for the next few days, maybe the next week. Anything else that you say yes to, does it align with that list? Because if it doesn't, then you have caught the major gap. You have caught the moments and the places and the spaces that you are people pleasing. Because if you are saying you prioritize this, let's say your health, let's say your friendships, let's say whatever, but then you say yes to all these things and they don't relate back, there you go. That's it. That is where you are people pleasing. That is where you are not allowing yourself potentially to say no. And that's also where you're not being aligned with what you want right now. All right, the last step is step 3. And this is the one that nobody wants to hear because I promise you it's probably the hardest one to do, but it's the most important one. You have to let people be disappointed in you. I'm going to pause right there because that is even hard for me to say out loud, but we have to get to the point where someone else's disappointment in our decision, our choice, our opinion does not faze us. Because here's what's really happening at the core of people pleasing. You're not actually trying to make someone else happy. You're just trying to protect yourself. You're trying to make yourself feel okay. And what I mean by that is when we are people pleasing, we are trying to avoid any type of frustration. We are trying to avoid any type of discomfort in someone's reaction. So instead of telling someone no, we immediately say yes because we just don't want to deal with whatever reaction they may have. That's all part of it. And y'all, I know personally for me, I have rearranged myself around so many other people's emotions and feelings that I'm just exhausted by it right now. I am so turned off by it. Like if you cannot manage your own emotions and you want to take that out on me because I have an opinion, like nope, you are not in my bubble, you are not in my circle, because it is so exhausting and draining to live like that for so long. Here's what I've learned about all of that at the end of the day, you can survive their discomfort. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel so weird and uncomfortable, but I promise you, it will not be the end of the world. The relationship will not break. Like, we just have to allow ourselves to sit in that discomfort because it's normal. It's natural. You are not always going to agree with everybody in your life. That is okay. And so every time that you say no, or every time that you give your own opinion and you do not try to, right, like avoid their reaction, every time you hold your own, you are basically training your brain that, okay, self-trust is real. I can trust myself. I can share my opinion. Things are going to be okay. Like that fear of it all just melting, it slowly starts to go away. Not overnight. It will not happen just immediately, but it's a muscle that you have to practice and you have to build. So here's what this actually looks like, okay? It looks like saying the thing and then stop talking. Kind of like in sales, right? Like when they teach you how to close a deal and they say whoever talks first, like that's who pays. It's kind of like that. Like say no, give your opinion, like say what you need to say, and then stop talking. And rest in that silence and let them go through their emotion and however they're going to react, but know that has nothing to do with you. The urge to fill that silence, the urge to fix that awkward tension, that's just the people-pleasing reflex trying to sneak back in. That's it. All in order to disarm, all in order to stop the discomfort. Nope, notice it, but do not feed it. You have to allow other people to have a reaction without you trying to fix it or manage it. Because here's the thing, if someone's disappointed, okay. If someone's surprised that you said no, let them be surprised. If someone needs a minute to adjust to who you are becoming, let them adjust. It is not your job, it's not your responsibility to manage other people's emotions for them. And y'all, like I said, this is the hardest part. It is not easy. It will not happen overnight, but this is where the most work builds. This is where that reflex starts to turn off, because every time you allow someone to be quote unquote disappointed with your decision or your opinion, guess what? You were just building more self-trust. You are building trust in your voice, in your opinion, and that's what matters at the end of the day. So those are the 3 steps. Pause before you answer. Get clear on what you actually like and what you're actually protecting. Let people be disappointed. None of this is linear, by the way, so you can go through these steps however you feel you are ready for. And of course, they're not all going to happen at once, so I recommend just starting with one and then building upon that. And just know that it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be moments where you still say yes, even though you want to say no. There's going to be moments where you sign up for something you didn't want to. Like, that's still normal and part of life, but the goal and the focus is just to make progress. You want to recognize the moments and signs of people pleasing. And then now you actually have some tools and some practical steps to make progress on it. So that's it. Like I said, I'm somewhere in the middle of all of this. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still learning about myself, who I want to be, things that I have pushed down for so many years. And if you're in that season too, then I just want you to know that you're not alone. You're not behind, like you're not broken, like we're just figuring it out. So drop in the comment which one of these steps really hit home for you. Share this with a friend, and if you have not subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you haven't watched part 1, go back and watch part 1. I'm going to put it up here somewhere. I promise it'll help you tremendously with these steps. And with that, I will see you all in the next one.